Hello, hello, family. Come on in. I welcome you in to this live event on visioning the world that we all want. I'm going to share it out to folks, but if you come by, share it out. We'll get started at 11. But I'm just going to be sharing it out now. Hello, hello, and welcome. Come on in the room. I am really excited and also really nervous to be here because this was something that Spirit kind of put on my heart to do. And I am excited. Hello, Na. Thank you for coming in. I'd love for you to share this out. We're going to be starting in just one moment. So this is something that Spirit asked me to do. I know that a lot of us have been doom scrolling and really feeling the need to be present in what's happening in the world, but also feeling the effects of it. And so thank you, love, Jessica, for coming in the room. We're going to start in just a minute, but I'm just sharing the why around this, right? So I am a social justice practitioner. That is my work. Many people call it DEI. Thank you, Nan. I appreciate you. And I am really in a place of knowing what my role is in creating social systems of social justice and equality, and also feeling the effects of what is happening right now. And one of the things that I recognized was that I was being pulled out of my energy into the energy of what is happening all around us, right? And I said, well, I have a really huge practice around embodying oneness, embodying justice and equality. And if I'm having a challenge with this, I know that other people are too. And I kept asking Spirit, like, what is it that you would have me do? Because if you don't know, like I said, I work in social justice and equality. Also, some people would refer to it as DEI. And so a lot of what I would be doing I don't want to say has been affected, but there's a lot of misinformation floating around, and there's a lot of blocking of the work of social justice and equality. And so how do we be really intentional? So Spirit said, all right, I want you to go and I want you to do this live because people need to start visioning. People need to start realizing what their unique role is in creating systems of equality and justice. People need to be encouraged. People need to remove their focus from the chaos that is happening in the world and really begin to step into their personal power. Power is our ability to act. I know that we've been taught that power is finite. I know that we've been taught that certain people have power and certain people don't. Lauren, thank you for joining. But that is not true. Power is our ability to act. There are 4 types of power, and one of them is a false power. It's a pseudo power, and that's power over. That's the power that we believe in right now, collectively as a society. It's that finite power that you can usurp other people's power, make them do the things that you want them to do, that you have power over them. But in actuality, the real power is power within. So understanding our unique connection to Spirit and the unique role that we've come to play here. And then it's also about being with other people who have embraced their true power, right? So it's power with, and then it's power to do a thing, right? Power to do the thing that we've come to do, power to liberate, power to bring power back to the people. And that is why I'm here on TikTok. And so my intention for this time together, and I wrote it before I came in the room, and I would love for you to share with me in the comments, what is your intention in being here? I'm going to share mine. Mine is to support the movement for justice and equality with practical applications that keep people actively and consistently engaged with progress. Liberation of our minds, our emotions, our actions, and our physical bodies, the physical bodies of all people. So that's my intention for being here. And I'd love to hear what your intention is. And you can put that in the comments. So that's our why. We're talking about our why. I think a lot of times we will get into reading all the books and having all of the information, but we don't know how to practically apply it. Julie, thank you for joining. We don't know how to practically apply the principles, the theory that we hear when we talk about creating justice and equality and what diversity, equity, and inclusion is, and how do we practice that in community. And so that is what my work really focuses around. It's like, how do we know our unique role, and how do we make sure that we are operating in that unique role? Na says, am I saying your name right, Na? My intention is to confidently, expand in my own power. Yes, because our power, can sometimes be suppressed by the thought forms that are in this world. And so we really do have to learn how to block out the external chaos that is happening in the world so that we can feel our power, so that we can know our power. Thank you for sharing your intention. So grateful for you. So it's about practical application in building the new. Because we can see the deterioration of what is happening in the world right now. And a lot of times we want to go fix it. We want to say, oh, well, you just need to fix this. And honestly, I believe that people have drawn their line in the sand. And there are people who do not want justice and equality. They want supremacy. They want power over systems. And there's nothing that we can do or that we should do to try to change their mind, because then that would be an act of supremacy, right? So what is it for us to do? Thank you, Joy, for joining. What we have to do is that we get to let our values, our beliefs, our morals guide us in building something new with other people who believe the same things that we do. And it's not about leaving them out or ostracizing or marginalizing them, but it's really about us removing our participation from the thing that is dying, the thing that is decaying, and actually bring ourselves into building with people who are like-minded and are embracing their power within to transform the world. Joy, thank you for joining. So I'm going to throughout this time together, I'm going to introduce some resources and some practices to help you stay focused on building the world that works for us all. And I also want to name that there is a difference between being compelled by what is unwanted to act, and then there's also being compelled by what is unwanted and by what is wanted, right? It's the difference between saying, I don't want to have a messy house, right? I don't want to have a messy house isn't actionable. It is just that I don't want this, right? However, thank you. If we focus on not wanting something, we are not compelled to embrace our unique power. We're actually disempowered because I don't want something, right? But when we're compelled by what is wanted, I want a house that feels free and open, and I know that I can find everything wherever I look for it. I know where everything is, right? That is something that instructs our unconscious mind to act, right? And so we embody our power. So we're going to start with a exercise. It's called 3 Space. And in this exercise, we're really going to focus on 3 spaces within ourselves, and then also outside of ourselves. Okay, so the first space, and you can do this with your eyes open or closed. Hold on, we have another intention. My intention is to take empowered, aligned action and stay informed without being emotionally distraught. Yes, yes, Yes. Yes. So as you get to know me, you will know that I believe that personal development work, social justice work, and spirituality are all wrapped up together. And I might say some things that you'll be like, that's weird. But no, that was one thing that Spirit told me, was that what this time right now is about, because I was saying, what is going on in a dream? And this woman said, this is happening to see what's still in you. What are the things that are still in you that need to be removed? What are the things from the old system, the old way of thinking and being? What needs to be removed from you so that you can build this new without bringing the toxicity of the old into it, right? So, yes, being and our emotional state, our emotional regulation, being aligned with Spirit in our emotions, it really allows us to be clear in our action. We're not reacting, we are acting from our place of purpose. So, there's 3 spaces. The first space, and we're going to lean forward for this, and this is just like a signal to your body to recognize where you're focusing at the moment. So the first space is your headspace, your thoughts, right? And I like to say that half of the stuff we think about is actually stuff from what Michael Bernard Beckwith calls the sea of mental garbage, right? It is consciousness, and we can tap into the consciousness of people around us. So sometimes the things that we're thinking aren't even our thoughts. It's the thoughts of the collective. And so I think it's really important for us to observe our thoughts. What is ours? What is those around us? And some of it may be connected, right? Something that we're feeling in a smaller amount is something that the collective is feeling in a larger amount, and then we feel it more amplified because it's already in us too. So the first space is the headspace. What are you thinking? What is your mind focused on? The second space, we're going to be straight back into ourselves, and we're going to come into our body, and we're going to recognize, what are we feeling in our body? Energy in motion is emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so what we feel in our bodies are not only physical ailments, but they can be emotional ailments. And so we're going to come into our bodies and observe, what are we feeling in our bodies? Can we name it as an emotion? Is it stiffness? What is it, right? And then the third space we're going to, I imagine that like you have your body and then your spirit's just kind of sucked out. Now you're not going anywhere, like you're going to come back to your body, so don't be afraid, right? But your spirit is sucked out, and you are now observing from this place of oneness. You are observing, Patty, thank you for joining. You are observing from the place of source that knows all things, sees all things, is involved in all things, and is balancing all things. All things are working together for our good, right? And so from the headspace and the body space, we don't always see that. And that's why it's really important to pull out to this third space, which is the place of oneness and the place where we are connected to the divine and our ultimate power. So I'm going to give you a moment right now to get settled. Take some deep breaths. And I want you to lean into that first space. What is happening in your mind? What are the things that you are observing? Are those thoughts yours? Are those things that you've seen? Are they thought forms that have come in from scrolling that you don't need to hold on to, that you can release? So I'll give you another couple seconds for you to observe in your headspace, in this place of thought, in the place of consciousness. Now come right back into your body. And I want you to recognize, what feelings are you feeling in your body? What tension might be there? Is there energy moving? Just take note of it. It's not good or bad. It is just witnessing. We are witnessing what we are feeling. And I want you to take note of it. It can be as big as a crick in your neck, or as small as a small vibration in your baby toe. All right. And now I would love for you, I invite you to come into the third space, to see from a higher perspective what is happening, how you are supported by a benevolent presence that is always present, that is in all things and works through all things. And so there's never really any need to worry or fret. From this place, you see exactly what is happening. And you see that it's happening for your good and your expansion and your benefit. And you see the role that you play in this place, in this space. You know that you were brought to earth at this time for a reason. And so we just witness. Right now, you may not even feel like, oh, this makes sense or anything, but just know as we practice, this is a practice, going into this third space and witnessing what is happening in the world. Monique, thank you for joining. So come back into this present moment. This is our act of grounding to bring us into an awareness that we are supported. We are divinely guided, protected, and provided for. That there is nothing that is happening that is outside the knowledge of the divine, of source. And that as we stay connected to source, we will be given specific instructions. Those instructions might seem scary sometimes, like me doing this live right now. I kind of didn't want to do it this morning, but I knew that Spirit told me I needed to. And that I know that there is a unique role that I play in creating a world that works for us all. And if this is the step that I've been given, then I must, right? I must. So if you would like to share with me in the comments, what are some of the things that came up? What, if you'd like to share, you don't have to share, but what did you get from the first space? What did you get from the second space? And what did you feel in the third space? So we did our grounding. The next piece is about unifying with source and unifying with ourselves. Like, what are the things that you are good at? What are the things that you are your talents, your gifts and abilities? And how do you see them being a part of a system that honors all people? A system that, sorry, I'm feeling a lot of energy right now. A system that honors all people, that sees the unique brilliance and beauty in each person, creates a community where everyone has a place and space and something that they have to offer to the world. Think about those things. I want you to think about who you are and how powerful you are and the power within. And think about the places where you are connected, the places that you have influence. And influence doesn't mean that you are a quote unquote high ranking person in an organization. Your influence is your personal power, and it's activated wherever you go. Wherever you go, you have power and influence. And I want you to begin to think about the things that you see in the world. What are the things? Thank you, user, for coming on in. What are the things that you see that you know that your gift could transform? Maybe you are an artist. Maybe you are a healer. Maybe you are just someone who's really good with kids, and that's amazing because kids are hard. Adults are hard too. Adults are really just big kids, honestly. Maybe you have this patience that is like you're a saint. Maybe you have the gift of hospitality. Have you ever thought about the world as it is and the world as it should be, and what role you could play in being a part of the world as it should be. I love to connect dots. I love to connect dots. I see connections between things. And I think I'm really good at helping people get from here to there in the most efficient way. And I really believe that transformation is possible. And so my work, my focus is in helping individuals and organizations transform from who we are to who we say we want to be through embodying our values, through embodying a belief system that we are all connected, interconnected, and that we can only reach our highest potential together. So when I think about unifying requires us to get really clear about our values, what's going to guide us as we move forward. And also, it is important to know our vision for the world. So the values and our personal vision. If you know your personal values or vision, I would love for you to share them with me in the comments. If not, that's fine too. I have an exercise over on my Patreon that is your personal mission, vision, and values. And I absolutely recommend it for anybody who wants to find their unique personal role in social transformation. Not everybody is called to be out protesting. Not everybody is called to be a politician or a senator or a House of Representatives. In fact, I kind of think we need a whole new way to govern ourselves. And again, it's about dreaming the world as it should be. It's not about what we don't want. It's about what is wanted. So what do you want to see in the world? Part of my mission is really establishing my North Star. My North Star is I want to live in a world that is fair and just, where everyone is valued equally and no one has to justify how they show up in the world. A place where everyone's social and emotional needs are met and physical needs are met and all feel safe, seen, and celebrated. That is my mission. That is my vision for the world. That's what I want to see. And as someone who is a dreamer, who can think up solutions for, hello, Candy, thank you for joining. As someone who likes to envision different outcomes, right? I vision the world as it should be. And I also want to be a part of creating practical applications to get us from one place to the other, right? So let's hear about your vision. I want you, if you aren't going to share in the comments, that's fine. But think about the world as you want to see it. The world that works for us all. I have some notes back here, so you'll see me looking over here just because I wanted to make sure that in the 30 minutes, I got to everything that I wanted to discuss. So as we are talking about values, and we're talking about vision in our unifying. This is how we unify in community. We share our vision. We share our values. I have 5 values that are for my organization, but they are also for me. And they are social justice values. And these are the values that I want to live by, right? So the first one is equality. I believe that everyone is equally powerful, necessary, and sacred to this life experience, that they are equal in their being, that there's nothing that you can add, nothing you can do to add to your value, and there's nothing you can do to remove from your value. I believe in belonging, that everyone's needs, no matter how diverse they are, need to be acknowledged and met, and that everyone has a place where they feel like they can belong. Everything counts. Thank you for joining. So I believe I have equality, I have belonging, I have oneness. Oneness is this belief that we are interconnected, that we can only reach our highest potential together. It's living in this space of spirit, knowing that spirit created all of us. Thank you so much. Everything counts. That is so sweet. That we're interconnected. And when we see, there's a South African proverb called Ubuntu. This is an excellent book. Now, I'm gonna share with you some books, but I don't want you to just read books. I want you to get into the Patreon, which is free, and start working on the practical application, because we have a lot of knowledge, but we have to put it into action. That is a part of building, right? So, equality, belonging, oneness, goodwill. I believe that the goodwill of humanity is inherent. I know a lot of people will fight me on this one. I believe that we are all good at the core of who we are, because we're all connected to this divine benevolent presence, to source, right? But some of us are operating, and I will say most of us, we all still operate in a measure of our socialization. I did a post the other day about the cycle of liberation, but there's also a cycle of socialization that we all go through continuously, generation after generation. And it isn't until we break that cycle of socialization and enter into a cycle of liberation that we embrace our inherent goodwill. So I want you, after this, go look at those slides. They're red, yellow, and blue, and white. And it talks about the cycle of socialization. You can also find that on the Patreon. So, equality, belonging, oneness, goodwill. We have to practice our goodwill as humans. And this also means that when somebody isn't operating in their goodwill, we get to see them as they are and also call them higher, because we get to speak into a version of them that is connected to us through the divine, right? We don't lower our standards. We don't use violence in our words or in our thoughts or emotions towards them. Hello, Apple Cider. Thank you for joining. We have to stay anchored in the truth of who we are. Allowing somebody else to pull us out of our values because of how they're acting it actually means that we're allowing them to control us. We're not in self-control. So, equality, belonging, oneness, goodwill, and integrity. Integrity means that I make sure that my values guide my life and actions. Giving our power away. Yes, love Jessica. We're giving our power away when we get to the point where we're calling names and we're doing stuff like that. Like, I found myself getting outside of my values because of all of the stimuli that was coming in. And Spirit was like, no, you are giving your power away. You are operating outside of who you really are. It's time to come back in. It's time to get aligned with your values. And that's what integrity is about. It's about doing it when it's easy and doing it when it is hard. Michael Beckwith, who is the leader of Agape International Spiritual Center, last week said that during this time, we are only going to be able to trust our practice, our personal practice, and source. Now, that's not to say that we can't trust people around us. Oh, I love him too. Have you ever been to Agape? I am still waiting to go. The Even Table, thank you for joining. So, yeah, it's about making sure that the practice that has sustained us when it's easy is also the practice that we trust when it gets hard. And so I had to go back to my values, and I even was like, dang, I posted some videos that were kind of like questionable when it comes to my values. Candy, thank you for joining. But I was like, okay, it's time to realign. And so those are my values. Those are how I am committed to working with others. Those are how I will show up. That is what I'm expecting from myself. I can't expect those things from anyone else. I can just model for everyone, right? So that is how we begin to unify. That is the unifying space, right? Where we see that this world is full of people just like us who are perfectly imperfect, right? Some of them are content with being perfectly imperfect. And we are seeking to elevate ourselves, not above anyone, but elevate our consciousness so that we can be the doulas, so that we can birth the new world, the world as it should be, not the world as it is. So the next space, so we did grounding, we did unifying. The next place is collaboration. And I want you to know that when you are collaborating for systems of equality and justice, you are not collaborating with people. You are not collaborating with people. You don't have to get people to agree with you. You just have to walk in alignment with what you say you want to be and who you say you want to be, and do the things that Spirit tells you to do, because that is who and what you are collaborating with. And if you remember, if you are in the third space and you are connected to all things, you are connected to all people. And that piece of goodwill, that strand of the divine, will move others. The God in them, the source in them, will move them to collaborate with you. So that's a part of why I'm here right now. This is the collaboration space. That is why I have created my Patreon. Woo Factor, thank you for joining. I've created this resource that has a lot of things that I've worked for in my life that I've created, and then I'm opening this up to give to people who want to be a part of positive and impactful social change. So that is a part of my collaboration. I also need to expand our community. Atara, I have a friend named Atira, but I don't think it's Atira. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you on Patreon. And Nah, thank you for staying. I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you again soon. So collaborating is really about us collaborating with justice, us collaborating with equality, us collaborating with the universe that is always in balance. And then the last part is about restoring. Restoring is about healing ourselves and healing others that we have been in community with. It's really important not to skip this step, because it is this awareness that we have when we understand that when people are hurt or harmed, they are not able to operate in the fullness of who they are. It is important for our community to be healed and whole, to be focused on their unique gifts, talents, and abilities, and be able to really operate without the oppression of other people's beliefs, of what they've been through. And what else? It's like your gifts can be hindered. You can be in a space where you can't fully belong to a community because you have experienced harm. And so restoration is really important, and we all need restoration. That is why we should really go through our cycle of socialization and see the places where our socialization has cut us off from the truth of who we are, which is love, which is kindness, which is compassion, which is care for one another, which is understanding that we're interconnected. Our socialization teaches us that we are separate from one another, that we are in competition with one another, that there isn't enough in this world. And so we have to make sure that we push the next person out of the way so that we can get what we need. There is no scarcity in this universe. The only scarcity happens when we have scarcity in our minds, and then we operate in the world in a scarcity fashion. Then we create the scarcity that we're worried about. And so how can you be in an accountable relationship with someone who knows your values, knows your vision, and is in a space to say, hey, think about this. Hey, think about that, when we're off track, right? So that's what restoration looks like. It looks like accountability for ourselves and healing for ourselves. It also is about recognizing how we have maybe created some harm. I remember early on in my journey, I said some things to, and I was just sharing a post, and it was very hurtful to a friend of mine from high school, and she unfriended me. This was years ago. And I remember after I realized, and I was wrong, okay? I was absolutely wrong in saying what I did. I had to go back to her, and I had to apologize, and I had to say, I wasn't aware. And, that was me then, but I want to say that I'm sorry. And it was like it never even happened afterwards. Like, she was able to forgive me. We have a great relationship now. And so I think it's really important. One of the pieces of white supremacy is that we're never wrong, right? Like, one of the practices that uphold white supremacy is that we don't want to be confronted. We don't want accountability. And so that is important. I know that we're over by 3 minutes. If you'd like to say, please stay. If you can't, I will have the replay up on Patreon. If you missed the beginning, if you missed the end. The other part is we can't hold people accountable that don't want to be held accountable. So again, there's a group of people who want things to revert, right? We can't hold them accountable to the values that are ours because they are not their values. We get to witness what their values are and allow them to be. And also know that we need to build for ourselves. So we cannot hold anyone else accountable who has not given us permission to do so. And we really need to focus on, this is another part of restoring, is building a community that will support the expansion of our values as a sub-society. So we don't need the whole of society to agree with us, but we build as a sub-society and we lead with those values. We don't have to worry about what others do. And there's this Gandhi quote that says, be the change you want to see in the world. It's actually a much longer quote, but what he says is the way the world exists on the outside is the way our world exists on the inside. And we need to do our internal personal work to transform the world and transform the outer world, but we should not worry about what others do. So with that, I just want to thank you for joining me today for this visioning event. This was really to get you to start thinking about your unique role in creating systems of equality and justice, in liberation, in our collective liberation. Liberations means we are free in our mind, we are free in our emotions, and our physical bodies are free from systems of inequality and injustice. That we stand with and for one another until we see liberation for all. And even after that, we make sure that we are sustaining these practices, that we are growing these practices so that we are maintaining the liberation that we have created, not just for ourselves, but for others. I love you all so much. JJ, thank you for coming in. I will have the replay up in the Patreon, so you can check it out there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you for sharing out. Thank you for the love. Thank you. If I missed you when you came in and I didn't say your name, thank you. I love you. Oh, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Love, Jessica. Love you all. And I will see you again soon.